a year since the country had to come to terms with the national lockdown in response to the global COVID-19 pandemic, a reality that has left a lot of industries in dire states. And here in the capital city, the heritage sites are not spared either. The Voortrekker Monument, one of the oldest heritage sites, are battling with the impact and the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Joining me right now just to take us through how the pandemic has, of course, impacted on this particular heritage site is Reverend Kasi Oukamp. He is the chairperson of the board of directors. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thanks, Patricia.
Just take us through what COVID-19 has actually done to this particular monument.
Yes, it had a devastating effect. For our income, more or less 50% comes from visitors from abroad and in South Africa. The abroad to South Africa, more or less 50-50. And where our income from the gates was more than 10 million previous years, it dropped to about exactly 1 million, of which 360,000 was in March last year, after the COVID lockdown. We only had 21 visitors from abroad in 11 months. That's devastating.
And one of the questions one would ask when you hear of these figures that have dropped so drastically is, how has this impacted on the people that are working here?
Well, I must lift my hat for them. We scaled down to a three-day work week, but they did all the work. And I must say they did a splendid job. You see, you can't see if you come here, if you look here, that there's anything wrong. Everything is working, everything is fine condition. But now we will have persons laid down in the new dispensation.
Have you determined how many people will be losing their jobs?
Oh, it's not sure, it's not final, but in the Voortrekker Monument and the Heritage Foundation of about 60 persons, I think we'll keep about 45 more or less.
What are the measures that you're embarking on, that you're considering to obviously try and find a solution to this serious and drastic financial decline?
Yeah, we must not only find a solution, we must find something to go into the future. Sustainability, everything. We've got a cooperation agreement now with the FAK, Federasie van Afrikaanse Kultuurvereniging. FAK, the Heritage Foundation and the Monument, going to work together. The new managing director will be Dr. Dani Langer from the FAK, and we will do a lot of savings by doing it. They are on the premises, and we can save a lot, and we can improve our income through the networks of the FAK. And so we think that we will be on level terms again in about more or less 6 months.
For those who might fear that the Voortrekker Monument might close down, what confirmation will you be giving them, or are you giving them?
No, that's not a question even. We didn't even think about that it can be closed, or even mothballed, you know, like it's standing and keep it for later. Now, we've got positive plans, and we're going to make it must be a better business after COVID than it was before. So and in the meantime, let me tell you that the solidarity movement will stand in for shortages over the next period of 6 months, maybe more or less, that will be there. And that everything without any changes in the control and the behavior of the monument and the direction.
Are you getting any funding from the state?
We don't get any funding from the state. We're independent from the state, and we prefer to keep it like that.
You earlier mentioned that there is some positivity or some positive aspect that you guys did draw from the COVID-19 pandemic, how it changed your approach in terms of restructuring the business of the day of the monument. Just share with us, what is that wisdom that you drew from this pandemic?
We can't rely on overseas visitors from outside. As Afrikaner people, this monument is a monument of our history. We must take full responsibility of our own. And I think that is the positive that came out of COVID, that we must be self-sustainable, we must do our own thing and don't look at others.
Of course, you're speaking for this monument that is a symbol for, in particular, the Afrikaner community, but we understand that heritage is important for all cultural formations in the country. In short, what would your message be to convince the powers that be and just convince South Africans as a collective of the importance to preserve our heritage as a collective?
We not only the Voortrekker Monument, also Bloedrivier and other monuments are under our control. Of course, yes. Preserving our culture and our monuments is not only for us, it's also for the other people to see where we come from. We said, okay, it's a monument for South Africans, for Afrikaners, but all of them are welcome. The doors are open for them. Peoples must take responsibility for their own heritage. I think that's the most important. If there's a proud and a pride in, you can take responsibility for your own heritage. Don't let it be dependent on outside influences.
Just give us a picture of all the heritage sites and what is the financial state of those particular sites.
For example, the Bloedrivier site is also under our control, and other Kerkenberg, Vegkop and so on, especially from the time of the Voortrekkers. I think the effect on the monument was more than at the other places, because this monument is well known over the world. And it draws the most overseas visitors of all of them.
Thank you so much for joining us. There, of course, Mr. Cassie Oukamp. He is one of the leaders here at the Voortrekker Monument. Just again reminding us of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, how far and how wide it has stretched. Certainly no corner of the country has been spared by its impact. And of course, it's not just about this heritage site, it's about all the other heritage sites in the capital city that have been impacted on. You would understand, under the lockdown, a lot of restrictions were imposed, of course, meaning that a lot of tourists who would normally come to places like this to come and, of course, enjoy some of the historic benefits and plow in that financial benefit for places like this to be sustainable. That was not possible, and that goes directly to why your heritage sites, in particular around the capital city, have suffered tremendously. On that note, it's back to you in the studio.